Okay, so it's been a while since I've gotten a chance to do anything, and I thought that I would capitalize on everybody's infatuation with Oliver Anthony and country music. And I kind of been talking a little bit about country music and the sort of southern mythology of U.S. history and things. There is a sort of an enchanted aspect to it that is not as, I would say, depressing as kind of this postmodernist world that's lost all sense of enchantment. There's still something there in some of these simple folk type stories. And one thing that I really like about country music is that it is very much a storytelling mechanism. And I was thinking about this, that there's, some complaints that people have about it. Like, it's just all about, um, you know, my truck broke down and my dog ran away and all these things. And there's a certain aspect to that that's true. But when you are having rough circumstances like that, it's nice to have music that you can relate to. And there is an aspect of there's a certain level of tropes that you would find in country music, and they're kind of repeated themes. And there is a formulaic quality to the music as well, which, as creative endeavors and Western thinking people, we criticize that and complain about this. But I think that if we look at it from a religious, maybe a symbolic point of view, what do we see when we see a tradition of repeated pattern passed down? We call it a liturgy, and so there is actually, I would say, a sort of a liturgical aspect to country music. You write songs for these occasions about these things in this certain way, and there's some common, aspects of it. How many details can you change and still say this is country music? And so, there you need to have some sort of a pattern there to have it be what it's supposed to be. And it has to be somewhat recognizable. So I'm have been listening to country music for a while. I didn't grow up on it, but kind of in college I got interested in it because I kind of got bored with most of the like current rock music that was coming out. I just didn't really want to listen to metal anymore. I loved classic rock, but it was, all rehashed. Um, there was nothing new there. And when I started listening to country music, it had some familiar aspects that I liked about it. It's very guitar driven. Um, but it was different enough and unknown enough that I didn't get sick of it super fast. And I spent a little bit of time learning about some of the older stuff and the classic stuff, and there's a lot of good stuff there. But nothing that I'm going to show here is by any means like the high watermark of country music. This is more or less random country music that was on the radio when I started listening to country music, like, I don't know, 20 years ago or something, which is kind of crazy to say. Maybe a little less than that. Probably when I was 22, 23. It's maybe like 17, 18 years ago. That's when I really started paying attention to it. And there's a really great Malcolm Gladwell podcast where he does his own kind of little introduction of country music and why some people like it and some people don't. And he goes into a lot of the, you know, interesting things about what makes it good or bad. And if I can find a link, maybe I'll post that. Um, but he covers a lot of good like classic country songs. But I'm gonna just look at some random ones that I just kind of like, or maybe it popped up on the radio recently, and try to do a little analysis of it and see what makes them tick. Let me see if this is interesting to people. Then maybe I'll do it more. So the song I'm going to start here is Red Dirt Road from Brooks and Dunn. And I did learn that this was kind of a collaboration between the two guys, and it is autobiographical, um, but they embellish details of it for the sake of the song to make it better. And I think that that's something where, people that have been talking about Oliver Anthony and his, like, oh, it's authentic, and we get hooked up. Oh, we start to really value in this day and age this aspect of authenticity, but at a certain point, like, when you become, nobody stays the same. So after a while, you're going to get better, and your writing is going to get better, and your storytelling is going to get better. And if it's all autobiographical, your life circumstances improving may be a source of worse songwriting material, because there is an aspect of, the rich men north of Richmond is, it's an anthem of, injustice about the way things are in the world. Well, if things just get better for Oliver Anthony, then he's going to be faking it if he sings the same things. And so I think that authenticity is a good thing in certain doses, but we can also learn to empathize with others, and uh, we can absorb stories from other people. And sometimes I think what a really great songwriter does is that they take a story from somebody else and they maybe shape it more archetypical, or they make it a little bit more general. Although sometimes the particularities are really important in country music, which we'll get into a little bit here. But learning the craft of songwriting and storytelling, I don't think makes it necessarily inauthentic. And even if you say, like, the Nashville Machine, there's so many people singing songs that other people didn't, that they didn't write, but it's actually kind of the it's a community driven thing. There's sort of a pattern there. People show up, they pay their dues. If they can write songs, that's the biggest inroad to lasting success. And those songs will get sung by people who are more popular, and eventually they will probably get a chance to start their own career. And that's a path that many people have followed. And when you see a new artist come out, they'll do a short set. They'll have their hit song that's on the radio. They'll play a couple of songs from their album, maybe if they have one album out, and they'll always do like one or two covers of an older country song to kind of pay their dues and show a respect to the people that have gone before. And so it's actually, even though there's a commercialized aspect to it, it's a functioning kind of system. Now, this is to say how things have been generally. I mean, as like more woke stuff gets in, it's horrible, and um, the influence of hip hop on country music, I think, is detrimental. But this could just be my personal experience and tastes. So I'm gonna play this song and pause it and talk about it a little bit. So I tried to do this video using the real song, and then it got blocked by the copyright. So I decided to record it myself. Um, and so you should go listen to the real version, but that's why this is all janky. I was raised off of Route 3, out where the blacktop ends. We walked to church on Sunday morning, raced barefoot back to Johnson's fence. All right, so the song's called Red Dirt Road, and everything is centered around this road theme. And it's actually pretty interesting because I would say it kind of has a real hero's journey kind of thing. He's starting off young. It's off where the blacktop ends, so he's denoting. I grew up in poverty, and this is somewhat autobiographical of the singer there. Uh, they wrote it together. One guy has told us, I can't remember which one it was. It's this guy um, wrote it's his story, and the other guy kind of polished up the lyrics and tweaked it, and then they lived the experience together through the process of writing the song. But he's telling he's got these humble roots, and they went to church and raced back barefoot. That's where I first saw Mary on that roadside picking blackberries. So I just think that's a funny line. He rhymes Mary with blackberries, which is like he's really leaning into the accent to get that rhyme to work, but it works pretty good. So that summer I turned a corner in my soul down that red dirt road. So this song definitely, one reason why I like it is that it does have a spiritual dimension to it strongly. And most of the people in Nashville are like some brand of nominal Christian or kind of rough around the edges. um you know Whether that kind of begs the question again of like authenticity, and it's like, well, they kind of live some, if they're living on the road and they're not being the greatest moral exemplars at all time. I don't think that's necessarily the case. I think because Ronnie Dunn, he's been married to one woman like his whole career, so that's pretty admirable in and of itself. And um, but either way, their talent is in songwriting and singing. It's not necessarily in preaching the gospel. So you have to have grace for when they get the details wrong. But anyway, this is the chorus here. It's where I drank beer. It's where I found Jesus. Where I wrecked my first car. I tore it all to pieces. So now it's telling this road, this red dirt road, is the place where all these important things happen. And it's funny because it's like this mix of, oh, I drank my first beer. Like that's a memorable moment. It's not really a good thing, but it's like a rite of passage. It's where I found Jesus. That's a good thing. Also, a rite of passage, an important step. Where I wrecked my first car, I tore it all to pieces. These are all things like if you've drank a beer, if you found Jesus, if you've wrecked a car, well, you can relate in these stories to that aspect. I learned the path to heaven is full of sinners and believers. That happiness on earth ain't just for high achievers. So there are more things that I think we can relate to. The path to heaven is full of sinners and believers. In whatever role, our interactions with others. Um, it's good stuff. Oh, I've come to know there's life at both ends of that red dirt road. I like how it says life at both ends of the red dirt road. It's painting a picture of one road with two ends, both meeting the same thing. It kind of gives us this hero's journey. So that's where you have like, oh, drinking my beer is going down and finding Jesus is going up. And sinners and unbelievers. It's the whole story elements are in there. Her daddy didn't like me much with my shackled up GTO. And this is with stuff of like I was gonna say, look, what did he say in the first where he said like Johnson's Ranch? And like in a way, it's like who the heck is Johnson? That doesn't matter. It's particular stuff. He talks about a shackled up GTO. I had to look up what that meant. It's a modification that a lot of people used to do in like auto shop during high school to modify the suspension or whatever. It's particularity that makes it authentic in a way. It's like this is like if you were to walk into a room and you're not being addressed, you're kind of sitting on the side and you're overhearing two people have a conversation. the so there's no need to explain the particulars, but the particulars make it they make it more realistic. They make it more authentic, I guess, you could say is the word, but like uh it brings in um it's just a good it creates enough curiosity so that you want to listen to see if you find out, like, will I find out more about these details, like Mary, because we have Mary again. I think you said, yeah. uh he's talking about her daddy didn't like me much. Mary, we met her in the first verse as a little girl picking blackberries while he's running home barefoot from church. I'd sneak out in the middle of the night, throw rocks out her bedroom window, turn up the headlights. So here's this thing, you got sneaking out middle of the night, throwing rocks in her window. That's kind of like, oh, this is teenage misbehavior. It's so it's maybe it's like, is the hero's journey going downward? Is it going down right now, maybe? And then uh turning off the headlights, what's gonna happen? Drive by the moonlight, talk about what the future might hold down that red dirt road. So no, it wasn't like what's memorable to him. Whatever may have happened that we would shake our heads at it. Teenagers sneaking off to do what he remembers is talking about their future. So it's an optimistic place on that hero's journey. Now, the other thing I wanted to mention here is you'll see here the guy playing the pedal steel. So this pedal steel guitar, this is the signature of country music, I would say, modern country music. This instrument is the thing that most immediately denotes something as, like, if it has that, not all country songs necessarily have to have a steel guitar, but on rare occasions, if it has a steel guitar, and it has to be a pedal steel, not just a lap steel, it's going to be country music. And the interesting thing about the pedal steel is that it's like, this is like if you are an auto mechanic or something and you're trying to figure out how to make a musical instrument, it's this weird mechanical device. And the mechanical sound of the strings bending through the use of the pedals and the levers is like very hard to reproduce any other way. So that is, in a sense, to me, that's what I say. That's gives a country band or something real authenticity. I was disappointed once when I saw um, Chris Stapleton play in concert, and on his first record, he had a lot of really great pedal steel parts, but when he was live, he had a stripped down band and they didn't have the steel guitar, and I was pretty disappointed about that. But nevertheless, um, I bought one and learned how to play it, not very well, but it's definitely like you can mimic it, the sound a little bit other ways, but that's like the signature instrument of modern country music, I would say. It's where I drank my first beer. It's where I found Jesus. You can hear it playing those little high notes up in the chorus. Where I wrecked my first car, I tore it all to pieces. I learned the path to heaven is full of sinners and believers. Learn that happiness on earth ain't just for high achievers. Oh, I've come to know there's life at both ends of that red dirt road. And I think so. This is here a little riff in the intro that gets turned into a solo. So they're repeating themes musically. This is formulaic stuff. It's been done a million times, but it makes the song identifiable. It helps you to remind you what's going on, because not like a country music song is a song that you can grasp very quickly compared to other types of music because it has a story, but they will also use repeated musical motifs to help you connect to that story. So that way, when you hear it come on the radio again, or you know what song it is very quickly. I went out into the world. So now it's like the bridge verse or whatever. Uh, the story is continuing. He's gone out into the world. And I came back in. I lost Mary. So that's the low point. The low point of the song, I lost Mary. The bottom of the hero's journey. And then my computer's being really slow. So I have no control over this song now. The guy playing the steel guitar. You can hear what he's doing when you see it. But so that's the low point. I lost Mary. And then immediately
I got her back again.
he got her back again. So got her back again. And driving home tonight, it's like I found a long lost friend. So here the long lost friend is, of course, the red dirt road. It's where I worked my first beer. It's where I found Jesus. It's where I wrecked my first car. I tore it all to pieces. I learned the path to heaven. It's full of sinners and believers. Learn that happiness on earth ain't just for high achievers. Oh, I've learned, I've come to know there's life at both ends of that red dirt road. Oh, I've learned, I've come to know there's life at both ends of that red dirt road. So anyway, that's the whole song. It just does the chorus some more times and stuff. But I thought it's a good like here is a good country music song that was successful commercially because it's quality and it's got all the things. And I like the spiritual aspect of it. I think you could probably preach a sermon based around it if you really wanted to. Maybe if you're in one of those churches that meets in a bar or something, I don't know. But yeah, so I don't know. Just thought it's fun to analyze these songs a little bit. I think there's some good stuff there. Um, if you like this and you want me to do more, let me know. I'll probably do a few more anyway, just because I feel like it. But we'll see if it's a winner or a loser. But thank you for watching, and go listen to some country music